Hey YouTube, we're back with another video. Today we'll be covering the Gotham Knights patch that released on November 29th. This patch adds a few new endgame mechanics and much needed balancing and bug fixes, most notable being an enhancement to the rate at which players receive legendary crafting components. This is done through the addition of Heroic Assault, a 4-player co-op journey deep into Gotham's underground, literally. This new game mode offers the same type of gameplay that we see in the campaign in open world, where you fight hordes of enemies and try to accomplish skill-based objectives on the side for extra rewards. By completing all 30 levels of this game mode, players can unlock new gear, transmogs, and a Deco backcycle skin that takes inspiration from the classic Red Akira motorcycle depicted in the manga and animated movie. The goal of this new mode is to face off against Starro, the tyrannical space invader who is hell-bent on conquering Gotham in the extended DC universe. As far as first impressions of the game mode, a friend and I have played a good portion together in 2-player co-op. We were not forced to join a 4-player squad to try the new game mode, and despite this, we have made it to level 16 with no issues. However, later stages of Heroic Assault may require a full team to complete, however I have yet to see how difficult late stages actually are. Mechanically, these levels seem to be procedurally generated. Portions of the level are dedicated to strictly combat, and other portions are dedicated to solving the same reoccurring puzzles to find all the hidden caches in the level. After level 5, you start to see a lot of repetition. The underground caverns have literally no stylistic difference from one another, and the developers thought it was fine to simply flip the level in reverse, meaning you monotonously walk the same levels, solving the same puzzles over and over, but sometimes backwards. My experience with the game mode has been mixed. Although combat and time between encounters have been streamlined, the variety of encounters are extremely limited. The main additions in this mode are new objectives that unlimitedly spawn enemies until the objective is completed. For example, turning on 4 generators in a room to access the elevator, or escorting giant lasers to open a doorway. Although these modes offer some iteration to what we saw in the main story, these new objectives are mostly annoying, especially playing solo, which can be an issue because Gotham does not have a group finder within the Heroic Assault. Your best option is to open your privacy settings and changing them to public so you can haphazardly have random players join your game. Obviously, this is not ideal. Waiting around for 30 minutes hoping your play session populates is not fun in my opinion. If you don't have any friends to play with, you may not reach the end of Heroic Assault due to the endless spawn of enemies throwing Molotovs where you need to stand to activate the generators. Ultimately, players will initially enjoy this mode, but quickly realize they are in for a monotonous slog through an uninspired endgame mechanic. Next up is the new 2-player co-op Showdown mode that has been added. This is accessible after beating each individual case file attached to Harley Quinn, Clayface, Mr. Freeze, and Talia. Once you've beaten these boss fights in the campaign, the respective trophies will spawn in the Belfry, between Batman's old gear and the Batcycle editor. These boss fights, like Heroic Assault, will offer new gear and transmogs as well. These are definitely a welcome addition to the game. My main concern after beating the campaign twice over was the lack of replayability of the bosses, unless you start a New Game Plus. This has fixed the game loop for these fights and also adds new modifications to the encounters, like elemental weaknesses and resistances, as well as elemental attacks like fire, poison, and frost that will dictate what gear you take into the fight. The bosses are behind a power score that gives players a reason to grind Heroic Assault and other game mechanics. By the time I finished New Game Plus campaign, my gear score was around 10k, and now the last Talia Showdown fight is recommended you have around 30k gear score. What I can say about the Showdown mode is that even if you have the corresponding gear score, the bosses are so tanky you will want to bring a second player to the fight, unless you want to be repeatedly dodging and punching for an hour straight. The last thing I'll cover are some balancing changes, a few of which I really like to see. The most annoying enemy type, the Regulator Drone Master, has had their health reduced, alongside a general health reduction of enemies in hard mode. Before the patch, I found medium difficulty to be rather easy, but the moment you switch to hard, the enemies felt like punching bags. Players had to constantly pick between how much fun they wanted to have and how much skill the game required to play, while not really offering either at the same time. Although my testing has been limited to about 4 or 5 hours on the patch so far, the difference is noticeable. However, I'm not quick to state that the balancing is perfect. The first 15 levels of Heroic Assault are under the 40 level cap, meaning enemies in hard mode still went down in one punch. This only started to change around the halfway mark. It seems the developers want new players to enjoy Heroic Assault as they play through the campaign, rather than all at once after the credits roll. There are several more changes that I haven't covered, but I will link the patch notes in the description below so you can check those out yourself. Overall, I don't think this patch is enough to encourage new players to buy the game. The levels are boring and uninspired. When you hear 30 levels underground Gotham, you expect to do some actual discovery. Instead, we're forced to walk around the same drab, gray, boring caverns that make you want to walk face first into flames. Let me know your thoughts on the patch in the comments below, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.